program is brought to you by Newsworks in cooperation with the Eau Claire Area School Board. This program is simulcast on WRFP-LP 101.9 FM.
Hello and welcome to Meet the Candidates. In this series, Newsworks, an imprint of Valley Media Works, introduces you to candidates running for state and local election. The next election is April 2nd, 2019, and that will cover Eau Claire City Council, Eau Claire City Council President, and Eau Claire Area School District Board. I'm your host, Heather Rigby, and right now I'm joined by Andrew Werthmann. Hi, Andrew.
Thank you, Heather, for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Why don't we start off by letting folks know what you're running for?
So I'm running for the City Council President this spring. And for folks that don't know me, I currently serve as the acting president of the Eau Claire City Council and have served on the City Council for the past 10 years as a district representative.
What is the difference between a regular alderman and the City Council President position?
So as people know, in our community, we've always had this debate between whether to be a council mayor, a council manager, or potentially a mayoral system. And the council presidency is something of a hybrid between those. So the council president has a few additional powers around agenda setting, boards and committees and commissions that they serve on, but also does some of the more figurehead type things like ribbon cuttings and speeches and things like that. So it's, when I think of the city council, we're 11 members, but the city council president has just a few additional powers as the chair.
What's inspiring you to be City Council President?
That's the best question. So, as folks know, I've served for 10 years on the City Council, and the issues that we see right now, I really feel have to do with the fact that while we've seen a lot of growth in Eau Claire, and we've seen people moving back to our community, our tech, our arts, our university is booming. We also have the reality that not all folks are able to make it right now. And not everyone is sharing in the success of our community. And so the biggest issue right now that I'm seeing is affordable housing. And how can we take a more bold and active stance to helping folks be able to afford a roof over their home? And I see it as sort of on a spectrum. So we have 300 school children right now that are homeless. We have people that are sleeping on the streets every single night, and we have 16%, by the latest Alice report, 16% of our friends and neighbors are in poverty. And so, to me, our role is to make sure that we're doing everything we can as a local government to make sure that we're lifting everyone up. And policies that make sure that poverty and inequality are addressed are the main issue that I'm running on that I believe we need to address. The other thing that I think is important at this point is making sure that we're strengthening our neighborhoods. The statistics all show that the rate of crime is directly proportional to how many neighbors you know within a 15-minute walk of your home. And so whatever we can do to be building our neighborhood associations, our civic organizations, that people get to meet each other and know each other, to me is going to not only help with safety and security, but also is going to bring people closer together to solve some of the pressing problems that we have. And the last thing is sustainability. And I've talked about how important it is for our community to actually be a leader on sustainability issues, whether it's clean energy, whether it's looking at how we use our water resources and our food, and making sure that by the year 2050 we are 100% run by clean energy. That's a goal we've set, and there's a lot of work to come, but I'm excited to be running at this time when we're sort of facing this wonderful challenge that we have of becoming more sustainable. So those are some of the pressing issues that I'm excited about running on. And I've a little bit about my background. I grew up on a dairy farm in Osceola, Wisconsin, and without a doubt, seeing the connection that people have in a rural community, but to growing food, to looking out for one another, is something that sort of has inspired my philosophy about what's possible. And so I came to school here in 2001 and ended up staying, actually working with Senator Kathleen Vinehow as her campaign manager and as a legislative aide, and currently work with the Pew Charitable Trusts on issues around flooding and how flooding impacts our communities, and supporting our national parks. And so that's federal level policy work that I've been doing. But I think that, you know, sort of at the base of it is this idea of how do you get more folks engaged? How do you show the connection between people's involvement and the ability to actually improve, whether it's their family, their neighborhood, their community? And as a past community organizer and as someone who still sees the value in that, that's a driving ethic in my run for City Council is how do we get more folks involved? How do we open up, how do we bring more people around the table who have traditionally not been, and how do we engage everyone to create a better community?
All right. You spoke to this quite a bit already, but what are some of the things that you're hoping to accomplish in your next term?
So I did speak to a few of those things. Again, I'll come back to our affordable housing. In the next 2 weeks, we're going to see a list of 30 recommendations, short-term, medium-term, and long-term, about how we can incentivize and build and make sure we have you know, more affordable homes accessible to folks. And so all of those things are essentially what are going to sort of drive our work plan, I would say, in the next few years, potentially. Because that's the sort of pressing issue of our time. And it's, you know, we have to be very frank that while we've dropped to 2.2% unemployment in this community, we're lower than the state and national average. The fact remains that wages have not kept pace with all of the costs of living. And so, you know, I think our City Council, again, has to be focused on where can we make a difference when it comes to the cost of living in our community and keeping it affordable, because our wages are not keeping pace. So that's sort of one of the big things I would like to do. We passed in the budget a participatory budgeting program. It's the first step. So we've put aside money to say we want to set up participatory budgeting. For your viewers that may not know, it's actually, and some other communities have done this, where they set aside a portion of their budget that neighborhoods directly vote on to decide how they want to allocate those resources. And they've seen huge participation. It's a small part of the budget, but it makes a difference in a neighborhood that sees a few, you know, pressing projects they would like to work on. So we want to implement that, and I think we want to continue working on that. And then last is, again, the sustainability goals of our city. So we've been proactive in making sure that we're removing all of our lead pipes. We've put aside over $700,000 to make sure that our lead pipes are being removed from our older neighborhoods. We've put you know, a focus on making sure that we're flood resilient as a community, because when it floods, you know, if 8 inches of rain falls, we need to be prepared to be able to not only make sure that homes aren't damaged, but that businesses stay open, that schools are able to stay open. You know, we're focused on, for the first time, we saw record growth last year in our community, and that has actually allowed us to increase our revenue in our budget. And so we're making sure that you know, our police department, our fire department have all seen increases in their budgets. But I think long term, we're going to have service demands that are going to go beyond what our budget's able to do. So we're going to have to also figure out how we you know, how we manage that. So those are a few of the things that I see that we're going to be focused on in the coming years if I'm elected.
All right. And for anyone who doesn't know you or your background, you mentioned some of your history with your dairy farm upbringing, but what would you say are your qualifications for being council president?
Well, I think probably there's a few, but one is having the 10 years of experience. So I'm the longest serving current member of the city council. And I think the other one is having already been in the acting president role. So since the resignation of our former president, Kerry Kincaid, I took over as the acting president and have been in that role for the last 10 months, I think it is. So those are two of the, you know, I would say biggest qualifications is my experience, and then looking at also my role in the community and my work experience, which is really about policy and federal policy, but also how to engage folks and how to get people involved in the process. So, you know, I kind of look at those things as pointing to my biggest qualifications to be able to bring change. And I think that we have a lot to be proud of in this community, where we've come from. And you can look over the last 10 years and say we've made a huge amount of progress. But I would say the other side of that coin is let's make sure that everyone is seeing part of that success. And I think that that my leadership and my focus on how do we sort of tackle dynamic problems and be bold about it, I think is exactly what is needed right now.
Okay. Well, is there anything else that you feel voters should know about you or your campaign before they head and fill out their ballot on April 2nd?
I hope that folks give me a chance to really show that we can, look forward into the coming years and take some big steps in making sure our community works for everyone. And I've always felt that the more people get involved, the more that people are engaged in our community, the better we're going to be able to solve our issues and our pressing problems. So I welcome the support of folks and look forward to potentially earning your vote on April 2nd.
Thank you for being here, Andrew, and good luck on April 2nd. Thank you to our viewers at home. This program and programs like it are only made possible by your support. If you'd like to know how you can be involved, please visit our website, www.valleymediaworks.org.